when I was thinking about what I was going to say at noon today, it occurred to me, I remember something I had read many years ago that was to the effect that overeating causes problems with hearing. The way it was, vaguely remember having read this when I was a teenager probably, that the first sense that is impaired when you eat too much is your hearing, which would make no sense to me. And I thought, well, this must obviously have been something I was remembering falsely. So of course I went to the internet and looked it up, so it must be true. And in fact, there's pretty good evidence for this, that both overeating as an event and being overweight as a condition can both have impacts on your ability to hear. Fascinating. You can go away edified today, having learned this important thing in church. I mention it because we've now come to the middle point of Lent. We're actually a little past it. Up to this point, it seems to me the stories we've been hearing, the images we've been presented with in Lent have been mainly about our relationship with one another, how we treat one another. Are we being faithful and just and kind and compassionate in our dealings with one another? But all the way through Lent, and indeed all through our spiritual life, the story is really about God and what God is doing. And now as we're heading toward that second part of Lent, when it's a rapid pace from here to Holy Week, to Good Friday and to Easter, our attention is being turned at least a little bit toward what God is doing. I've always had trouble with these mysterious passages in the Gospel of John that don't seem to make much sense to me. Jesus says the same thing 10 different times in 10 different ways, and I don't really know what to make of it. But in this one, reading this one today, I kind of get that sense of urgency when he says, look, you may not get the message yet, but a time is coming when the dead are going to hear this. If that's true, then surely everybody else is going to be able to hear it too. I think he's getting a little exasperated. He's getting a little frustrated. He can't think of a way to say it that will get into people's heads. Pay attention. Something important is happening here. Now, of course, the difficulty is always that distinction between hearing and listening, isn't it? I'm thinking that the message we're getting today is that if the first half of Lent was a little bit about slimming down spiritually, moving things out of the way that don't help us, being a little bit more attentive to what's going on, perhaps that was so that when we get to this point, we are better able to listen and hear what God is saying, observe what God is doing as we approach the events that are only the act of God and yet are so important in your life and in mine. So, as the deacon in the Orthodox Church says before reading the gospel, let us be attentive. Now is the time to begin to pay attention. Up until now, we've been a little bit introspective, and that's fine, but now is the time to begin looking up, noticing what God is doing, so that we too will be ready when Easter comes. Amen.